Hey guys, and thanks for joining us for another episode of EventBuzz. All the way from New Jersey, today's guest is the museum director for a center named after one of America's greatest inventors. Need a hint? A man responsible for pretty much everything we love and know today. Let me see. Electric power, lighting, motion pictures, sound recordings. It's Thomas Edison. Today, we are talking about the Thomas Edison Center and how they've been navigating this pandemic, as well as the procedures they've introduced to keep visitors and groups safe during their tours at the historical site. Kathleen, thanks for coming on the podcast. Let's start by giving a brief intro about the center to our listeners and maybe your transition to using our ticketing platform online and how that's been going.
So when COVID came around in spring of 2020, we had already been looking into having a ticketing resource for our museum because, like a lot of other, entertainment type industries, our people coming in weren't all standard. We'd get, 3 at 10 and 13 at 11 and 45 at, this time, so on and so forth. And so we wanted something to, streamline for not only my docents, but also for the visitor so that they would have a premium experience, visitor experience, and wouldn't have to be looking over people's, heads and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so, this really just worked out perfectly for us, and we think it's a great addition, for our visitors, also a great benefit.
Yeah.
Now, we used to be able to do hands-on items in here. Actually, it's one of the most popular things we had, but of course we cannot do that. But we don't tell people, oh, we're not doing hands-on anymore. We just do demonstrations instead. And it's really worked out wonderfully well. And we're not a large museum. We have, really 2 galleries, not large again at all. But each of them is filled with, original artifacts.
Yeah.
So, we wanted this to be a positive. So this has really worked out well. And that's what we're just trying to do. We're trying to, even things we can't do anymore, we're trying to, parlay them into a positive thing. And so I don't think they're not missing anything because they don't know it's been taken away. And we do try to keep our tours as usual, educational, but fun. Mm-hmm. Another one of the benefits of having this ticketing system is I did have some docents who were a little long in some parts, and then it would back up my tours. But having our tours timed this way, there's no option but to move on. And it's been really helpful to the newer visitors coming in.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it helps you stay on schedule in a way.
And a lot of our people who come here, we're in the middle of the state of New Jersey. Not quite in the middle, but people call it Central Jersey. Uh-huh. And so there's a lot of friends that consider us like a meeting point and something fun to do. And, when they know that they have tickets for a specific time, it just, to me, from past experience and this current experience, it seems like they're on time and they're not keeping their friends waiting for 45 minutes or more, which of course is so infuriating and definitely takes something away from, their visit here. So that's actually been another positive. That's
true. It's helping out you guys, but then also them for that one friend that doesn't really like the schedule, We all have one. Okay, so for the museum and your visitors, I wanted to touch base on just the different the different protocols you've had to put in place since COVID. Just to see how you guys have changed it up or how you are following like the CDC guidelines or what you're doing differently.
Yeah, we had to make a lot of changes as all of us had. So I've been working very closely following the CDC guidelines and also with our town health department. And so we have installed plexiglass at the gift shop, which is where a lot of people are standing and looking. We're always happy to see them. Mm-hmm. But also it divides our front gallery a little bit. It keeps the people coming in separate from those on the other side of the plexi. And actually, some of my board members have come in and they said, this plexi is so purposeful. Like, we should have had it even before, this event, because we had really nice designs put on it having to do with Thomas Edison. So it's clear, but you can see the division of the room, but it's actually like ornamented almost.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so that's really, they look beautiful. Of course, we do checks with temperature before anyone comes into the room. And also on our Purplepass site, we have where you have you been around anyone that's sick? Do you have a temperature?
Yeah.
We're having people self-check before they come here. And of course, we check also because they could have bought the ticket on, 2 weeks before. And so we want to make sure that they're still well. One of the other things that we had to do here, because we don't have automatic doors, is that we cannot allow people to open the door. We've actually had to keep the door locked, and then we go outside, and then we bring the people in.
Oh,
because of the problems with, contamination of the door handle. We also have an air purification system that our nonprofit felt was really important, and it really seems to put our visitors at ease. We also have the hand sanitizing stations. And I really believe that, we're all wearing masks. Masks are required. We have a notice outside that people are comfortable to come in here.
Yeah.
We are fortunate, too, that we have a lot of outside interpretive signs that people can use also. So I think that extends their visit somewhat also.
After this call, send me, if you want, or if you have time, I would love to see a picture of the plexiglass, how you said it's almost like decorated, so it kind of goes with the museum. And then
absolutely.
And then I would be glad to share that on our social media and stuff, because that's cool. Like, everyone's using these different things, protective gear, but it's we can get kind of creative with it. I mean, what else are we going to do? You know what I mean? So
we have to do it. We might as well look its best.
Yeah, might as well look good. So that's awesome. I've actually haven't talked to anyone that's actually decorated that. So cool.
No, it looks great.
Yeah. So send me a picture of that. I definitely want to see that. So you guys do the tours. For your large groups, I know you said, do you technically want it, how large can they be? Where it's still safe?
Well, so we can have, it depends if they're all living in the same senior community, for example, although we haven't done any of those yet because they're really, under the gun with everything right now. They're, most at risk. But typically what we'll do is we'll bring a group. We start the tour outside if we can. It's always weather dependent. But even if it's cold, we'll have some point of time where we give them an orientation. And then what I can do is, if it's a very large group, I can divide them in half and have the same tour going on in the front room as the back. Not the verbal part, not the part of seeing what's there, and then we can switch the rooms and start again. So because we've always been such a small museum. For school trips, I used to rent tents every year to have outside. We're used to working with limited space, but we just want to keep everyone safe. I mean, New Jersey's been hit pretty hard, so we're really very cautious about, being careful.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been hit pretty hard. California, New York, everyone, it's so sad. I'm so glad that you guys are still able to operate and be open and, because it gives people want something to do I mean, we're slowly going crazy because it's like we're missing out on all these different things. So I'm glad you guys are still able to operate safely and everyone can still experience, your work.
Well, we were closed for 7 months. And we just reopened at the end of October, and it's been slow, but steady.
Yeah.
And we're going to get through this, but we want to get through it safely.
Yeah.
And exactly. So that's what we're trying to do. We're all in this together.
Exactly. So you guys just opened, you're doing the tours. Do you still have you done any, I know you offer different programs for like schools and special events, but are you guys still offering that at the moment, or is it just tours right now? Because I mean, obviously you're probably really limited to what you can really do.
No, we're really limited.
Yeah.
I mean, the schools here, of course, are, except for some private schools, they're all doing it virtually. And, we have gotten a few requests from like scouting groups because they're generally small, and we're going to try to figure out how to manage that. And, we're going to work through it and just keep the group small. I used to have a minimum of so many students for scouting groups. I really can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's too high. I have to keep them lower, actually. So, it's an adjustment. We're all making these adjustments.
Yeah.
I don't know when the school trips will begin again. I think, folks will be wary, just like after 9/11, people weren't going on school trips. They were afraid, and understandably. And so I think it'll be a slow return.
Mm-hmm. Me too, unfortunately. But as long as we're like slowly, moving forward, I will take that.
Mm-hmm.
So before working with us, did you guys ever do tickets online, or is it all just in person?
No, we actually had signed with another company in November, and then of course COVID hit. We hadn't even really been set up yet. So for an extremely short period of time, and then they were bought out, and I wasn't pleased with the platform that they had. And so I called around, and I was really happy with Purplepass.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead. So no, we hadn't been, like, we never used a company or worked or partnered with a company like Purplepass for the extent we do now. It was, like I said, we signed up and then we were closed very shortly thereafter. And so, limited tickets. If I sold 20 tickets or 30 tickets through there, I'd be amazed. Purplepass is really where we have our experience working with.
Growing. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. I was just curious if it was your first time actually using the technology, and because I wanted to see like how the transition was. And then just to like close it up, because I think you answered a lot of my questions. For the listeners out there, especially maybe directors or people in charge of exhibits, museums, kind of in your shoes, do you have any advice for them? Maybe they're not open yet. Maybe they're slowly getting ready to reopen. Any advice you might want to tell them as they're starting their journey, or anything that you have done? Yeah, anything like mistakes you have made that maybe they might be able to avoid?
Well, we took it slow, so we were trying to avoid mistakes. I know some of my, people that are interested in our museum and work hard, to keep it running and in good shape. They were concerned. They wanted to open up a little earlier, and I just said, I really want to be successful. So let's take it slow. I mean, normally we were open to the public 3 days a week, and 2 other days of the week, we did school trips. We're only open on Saturdays right now. We just want to keep working at it slow and being successful. So that's my advice. And I also listen to more webinars than I could ever, believe that I would. But they were really helpful. I mean, not every one of them, because a lot of like nonprofits or, museums or entertainment sites, theaters, for example, they're much larger than we are, and they have many more programs. Mm-hmm. But there was always something, some knowledge that I gleaned from this. And I was watching YouTube videos on the pandemic, and I was watching one in New Zealand for a zoo, and they were talking about the bubble. And that's what I've been calling like when a family or a group larger than 6 wants to come together, so, little things, but it really gave me a sense of security, to see what was going on, to know that, accommodations can be made. My health department here was so helpful, really great guidance. Mm-hmm. And, I just keep go forward, but go slow, make sure that you're going to be successful. You don't want to open up and then have to close a week later.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of, thank goodness for technology right now. I mean, we're all kind of staying at home. Why not use this time to learn? Everyone is putting out, there's so much information out there, so many answers out there, so many ideas. Like you said, you're going on YouTube, webinars, podcasts, what we're doing right now. Like, this is the time to kind of learn and see how you can grow and try to grow with how the world is going. Great advice. I definitely agree to take it slow, because that would be awful to reopen and then close again. Yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thanks for chatting with me. And whenever you have time today, go ahead and send me like any links, ticket links, websites, anything you want me to include with this podcast, because I do post it on our blog and social media, and I'll include those links for you.